All right. If these are going to expire very soon, it says expires. There's a column that says expires. I can just click on the date and I can change the date manually. If I want to change multiple dates, then I can just put a check mark in several of these, and then go in and select the option that says extend expiry date, and then I can extend multiples. Okay, so there's 3 or 4. I can extend all 3 or 4 at one time. And then I have mark as viewed. So if I have some of these and it says 4 new listings or 5 new listings or 3 new listings or what have you, if I want to just mark those all as viewed, then I just put a check mark and go mark as viewed, and then it'll change it to 0. Okay, so that's kind of like me starting over. I've seen all those listings at this point. Now I want to kind of reset and let the system let me know if there's anything else that comes on the market that matches the criteria. And there's, again, a wealth of information. If I want to go in and I want to look at the contact record, then click on their name. If I want to look at the search criteria, click on the search name. If I want to see the phone number, hover over the phone. If I want to email them, click on the email, the envelope. So again, all of these are basically kind of hyperlinks, and it's going to give you information about that particular search. So this is not centric on the contact, on the person. This is more centric onto this search, okay, where I can manage this particular search for this contact, or this particular search for this contact. All right, so the prospect manager is a way to manage your searches. To manage your contacts or your prospects, then click on Contact Manager. Okay, some refer to the contact as their prospect. But again, here's a list, and if you click on their name, again, there's 2 or 3 different ways of getting to the same information. I click on Jeff's name. Here is the contact record. If I click on searches, it looks just like the search manager screen or the prospect manager screen, except this is exclusive to Jeff Bell, to this one client or contact. Okay, so this is what I mean by the system kind of looks at those things as separate, but they can be linked in between. So there may be some overlap where you can link that information. But again, I can look up a contact, and it doesn't have to be it doesn't have to have anything to do with a search. I can pull up a search or a bunch of searches and just manage those, and regardless of who they're for. I can just go in and say, you know what, I've been off for 4 or 5 days. Let me look at all the searches I have saved. Is there a significant number of new listings that match criteria that I need to be abreast of? All right. So how do I save a new search for a new contact? Well, it all starts with search, of course. So when I click search, I'm going to go in and I'm going to enter in a criteria. So let's say list price of $250 to $265. And I want at least 2 baths, so 2 or more. Just put 2 in the first box, leave the second one blank. I want 3 or more baths, bedrooms, excuse me. So 3 in the first box, leave the second one blank. I can enter in my square footage, but you know what? I'm going to go to my map. I'm going to use the criteria for the map, so I'm going to click Search Map. And again, all of this is going to be in the training course that you took as far as just how to enter search criteria. So I'm assuming that you all have already taken that course or will be taking it soon. So we're not going to spend a lot of time on how to enter search criteria. I'm going to click on the button down here that says Show Listings at the bottom right. It'll show me where all the listings are that match that criteria so far. So far, these are the listings that match the criteria on the map that I'm looking at. I can zoom out and see more, or I can zoom in. But let's say that I know for a fact my client is looking for something within this area here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Draw Polygon, and I'm going to isolate just this to this, and I'm just clicking, let go, click, let go, click, let go. Oops, hold on 1 second. There we go. Click, let go. You don't have to be as precise as I'm trying to be anyway. And let go. And again, just, continue to draw your shape. All right, so let's say that this is, and I'm Really trying to be precise here, but that's not needed. All right, so let's say for this sample, okay, so let's say my client is willing to be anywhere within that area. So far there are 29 listings in that area, and I know because on the left side of the screen here it tells me how many. It says 29 records. So I have 29 records currently in that criteria, and that are basically 3 bedrooms, at least 3 bedrooms, at least 2 baths, between $250,000 and $265,000. So I want to save this search. Now, most people, you can save it from this screen, just click Save Search, but most people go to Results. So I'm going to click on Search Results, and they kind of take a look at what currently matches that criteria. Okay, yeah, this looks like what I'm looking for, and they save from this screen. So I'm going to go in, and I'm going to click on the button that says Save Search from the Results screen. When I click Save Search, then the process begins on saving a search where I can automate it if I want to. I can attach it to a client if I want to. Just basically at this point, read the screen. So I'm going to call this my let's see, the name of the client. We're going to make up a client. This is my Bob's Central 200K search. All right. So it's kind of the center of town here or the area that I farm. Let's say $200,000 search, and you can name it whatever you want. Search description, you can enter in information there. Search results grid, you could choose that, or you can just leave those blank for now. And as I said, you know, if in the beginning stages here, I wouldn't worry about those too much. I mean, those are great options, but if you're just starting to use the system, it's not something that's really needed right now. It's somewhat advanced, but it speaks to the flexibility of Tempo 5, because what it allows you to do is you can create a custom grid just for this particular search. Now, most people wouldn't go through that trouble of creating, and when I say custom grid, that's that one-liner. Most people wouldn't go into the trouble of creating a one-liner for each and every search, but what it is good for is groups of searches. So if you have searches that you conduct for, let's say for retirees, you work with a lot of retirees, then you might have a grid for retirees. And on that little one-liner, along with ML number, bedrooms, bathrooms, price, you might want to see if there's age restrictions. In Florida here, we have age-restricted communities. You might want to see if there is community features. Okay, you might want to see if there are any pet restrictions. Okay, so there are certain columns that might be more important to them, or you know, over if you're doing searches for families with a lot of kids. Then there may be columns that are going to be more important for that type of search, okay? Because those are going to be searches with high bedroom counts, and so and you want to make sure you want to see the lot size, and see if there's a backyard, or if there's any again, community features might be important, or what have you. So it just depends on the type of search you're doing. But anyway, the point is when you do a search and you go to results, there's an area in there where you can build your own result grid. Later on, when you save that search, all you have to do is click on the down arrow, and it'll list all of the special grids you created. Okay? And you can choose that grid to come up whenever you pull that search, whenever you run that search. But we're going to leave it on the default grid that was created by RSC that all residential properties come up in. So I'm going to leave it as is for now. Now, here's the important part as far as the prospecting feature goes, and that is search type. I'm going to click on the down arrow. It could be a custom search only, just a search that I run all the time, or it could be one that is attached to a new contact record, one that's attached to an existing contact record, one that that I'm going to use for multiple contacts. There may be several people looking for the same type of home, and then custom search with auto notification only to me. And that is those are searches that I set up and I saved, but I don't want my client to be notified. I want it to come to me, and if I deem it appropriate, I will forward it to my client. Okay, so I'm going to go in and let's go in and do the longest one, and that is I'm going to attach it to a new contact record. And I say long because when I select that and I click Save, then the process begins first entering in the contact, and after I enter the contact, then setting up the auto notification settings, and then I'm reviewing the properties that currently match the criteria, and then I'm done. So, you know, it's the longest process, but it still only takes a minute or two to do it this way. So what I would do is first enter in my client. So my client is good old Bob Smith. I'm going to enter Bob's email address. Okay. And you know, again, I would suggest you fill in as much of this information as possible. But in an effort of saving time here, we're just going to click Next Step. When I click Next Step, it's going to take me to use Client Gateway for this prospect. Well, yes, of course, we already kind of reviewed the benefits of the Client Gateways, but you don't have to. You can still just send the listings in a link. In either case, it is updated information, so when they look at it, it's live data. So if the price changes, they'll see what the price changed to. If the status changes, they'll see what the current status is or what have you. All right, so I'm going to go to the next step. And you can enter a homepage greeting if you want, you know. You have your auto notification settings, okay? So again, this is just reading the screen. Search expiration, how long you wanted to search for? 180 days, that's fine. I'll leave it on the maximum. How often do you want it to search? Frequency, ASAP, as soon as possible, meaning the minute that listing is entered and it matches the criteria, it'll go out in an email. You can have it set to daily, well, it'll hold all of those and email it once a day. And I can choose to turn off weekends or turn off the weekends and Wednesday or whatever. So it's up to you. I mean, if you put in enough criteria, chances are they're not going to get inundated with emails. So ASAP will probably work well for you. But you can choose monthly or you can choose never, where it's going to go run the search for you, but it's not going to email. Resend notification email when, well, I want it to go back out again when there's a price change or a status change or the primary photo is added, okay? Because what happens with these things, you set it up, and if it's on ASAP, as soon as the listing agent enters it in, it's going to go out, and that may be before the agent gets a chance to put a picture in there. Now, when your client goes to look at it, if the agent, you know, hurries up and puts a picture in, they'll see the picture. But if the agent enters the listing and they don't get around to putting in the picture till like the next day, and I'm not sure what your business rules are, that may not even be allowed, but in some instances, it may take a day to get the listing agent to put the photo in. Well, if your client looks at that you know, prior to, then they won't see the picture. And we all know, you know, pulling up a data sheet on just bare property information without a photo is not all that helpful. So again, this system will resend it when the picture is added if that's needed. Send prospect notifications to. Yes, I want my client to receive it, so I'm going to leave a check mark in there. So it's going to go to Bob Smith. And notification subject line and text. This is just in that email. How do you want it to read? When Bob receives that email, this is the message that's going to go over the subject line, and here's the information that's going to go with the link, okay? Now, if you choose to go in and edit this, this is fine. You might want to make it more personable. That's a great idea. Click on Edit My Default Text or just change it right here on the fly. The thing is, when you make those changes, though, make sure you leave the bracketed items, okay? The bracketed items are basically, these are kind of like form fields where it's going to automatically input the listing URL or the email signature. It's going to automatically input the salutation, okay? So if you get rid of those brackets, then your client won't have, like, let's say, a link to click on when they receive the email notification. Save history of email notification. Yes, I wanted to save the history of emails going out in their client record. So when I click on Bob's client record, I'll see whenever an email went out to Bob, and I can pull that up myself, especially if I choose not to be notified. Okay, if you want to cut down on the amount of email you get, then if you're setting this up for a family or a very, very close friend, then you may not need to get those emails. If you know they're going to contact you anyway if they see something they like, then why receive those emails yourself? Let your client kind of filter through those that they're looking for, and again, they'll notify you when they see something that strikes them. So you have that option, or of course you can have it notify you as soon as your client is notified. So that's what the last option. So basically, again, it's just reading the screen and filling out the options that you have here. And then I'm going to click on Next Step.